Hi, I'm Bill Kusinger, and in this Action Impact video presentation, I'm going to talk to you about encounters with law enforcement when you're in possession of a firearm. Now, being a retired police officer, being a retired SWAT commander, and being a practicing attorney, I'm asked this question often: what do I have to do if I'm carrying a gun and I come in contact with the police? Well, first thing I'm going to tell you is this. I'm going to tell you what the law says. The law is very specific under the Concealed Pistol License Statute. And it says this. It says, if you're stopped by a police officer at the first available opportunity, you have to advise the officer that you're in possession of a handgun and that you have a concealed pistol license. And that has to be at your first available opportunity. So what I tell people is, if normally your contact with law enforcement is on a traffic stop, after the officer approaches your car, keep your hands on the steering wheel, advise the officer that you have a concealed pistol license, you're in possession of a handgun, tell the officer where it's at. Now, under the law, the officers have discretion. And that discretion means that they have the discretion to take temporary possession of your gun if they deem it necessary for their personal protection. Don't be offended by that. As an officer, anytime there's a gun in a law enforcement environment, we know that's a very sensitive situation. So you, as a good, sound, functional person, should understand that. Don't offer any resistance. Comply with the officer's instructions. But I also know that there's other times that you could come into contact with law enforcement. It could be as you're walking down the street with your concealed gun. It could be the officer could come to your home. You could get involved in a traffic accident. You could be a witness to a crime where you're going to have interaction with the officers. And here's what I recommend to everybody. If you're carrying your gun lawfully, there's nothing for you to be self-conscious about. So I always suggest that when you're in a law enforcement environment that you err on the side of caution. So simply having contact with an officer, I think, is enough to trigger you to advise the officer you're in possession of a concealed pistol and that you have a license to carry that gun. And that's out of respect for the officer, that's out of respect for yourself, and that's to eliminate any potential problems. Let the officers decide how they want to handle it past that point, but trust in your law enforcement officers, trust in yourself. And again, my recommendation is this: anytime you have contact with law enforcement, advise the officer these two things: A, I'm in possession of a handgun; B, I have a license to carry this gun. And I think if you follow that advice, then I don't believe bad things will happen to good people, and I believe that will keep you safe, it will keep the officers safe, and anybody and everybody around you safe. And that's the advice that I'm offering you today. Thanks.